Hi, everyone. Welcome to Newfound Happy Hour. My name is Sarah. I am your host. And if you're new here, this is a podcast where we talk to cool people doing cool things and share experiences and best friend, big sister advice, and sometimes my take on it all as a millennial woman living here in Newfoundland. This is season 3. I've been doing seasons by years. And so season 1 was 2022, 2 was in 2023, and now season 3 in 2024. So there's lots of episodes to go back and listen to. This episode today is the second part of my Mother's Day series. Last time we spoke with my friend Sarah, she was talking about her experience up until now being pregnant and having a 5-week-old. So she had a 2-part episode talking all about her pregnancy and birth experience. So go check that out. And today is part 1 of Hailey's episode, speaking with her about her experience with pregnancy and birth and now having a 16-month-old. In this episode, she talks about her pregnancy and her birth and how it is raising a little boy in BC. I will also say a bit of a trigger warning before we start that she does talk about some birth trauma that she had, and it's definitely not to scare anyone. It's more so to just speak her truth, really, and inform pregnant people or those who may have to support your pregnant friends or family or partners, the reality that childbirth can sometimes be. Even though it was a frustrating and scary and painful experience, she is still so funny, like telling the story of her birth and pregnancy. And she's always been like actually one of the funniest storytellers that I think I know. I found myself like laughing at certain parts, editing this back. So I think it's great that she can look back on it with this mindset. And I think not in this part, but in part 2, she talks about some miscarriage experiences that she's had. And she just has such a good outlook on it all and a good mindset. So yeah, shout out to her. And here is my conversation with her. Well, I always start with how we know each other. Do you want to say how we know each other?
Sure.
Okay.
Well, like we've known each other for, oh my God, what are we, 30 this year? So we've known each other for like 27 years. Is that right now?
Oh my God, yes.
That's
No, that's
wild.
right. That's right.
Yeah, because like preschool would be, yeah, because I would have started when I was, did you start kindergarten when you were 4 as well? Or just fresh 5?
I had like just turned 5, I
Yeah,
think.
yeah. So yeah, we would have been in preschool at like 3 years old together, maybe
Yes.
younger.
Yeah. I think 3 to 4 was preschool. So yeah, a very long time. And we did kindergarten to grade 12 together. And then you were here and gone a bit throughout university.
Yeah. So I did most of my university at home, and I did that 1 year in Nova Scotia. And then pretty much as soon as I finished school, I was like, see ya.
Right. And then you were in Australia for a year or
Yeah.
2.
Year and a little bit because my visa ran out in July, but then because it was COVID times, I like wrote to like the immigration people. And I was like, oh no, I can't get home. Like I could, but I was like, I'm stuck, and they're like, okay, you can stay for another few months. So
Right.
kind of worked out in my favor. But
And
yeah, did that and then came home for like just under a year, and then yeah, been away now for 3, I think, which is crazy.
yeah, because it was June 2021.
3, 2 years. Yeah, it was June 2021. Yeah, no.
So 3 years.
Oh, this is 2024. Yeah. Yeah.
When you approach 30, your time perception is just gone.
I feel like since COVID, time is just
COVID 100%. Nothing makes sense.
no.
But yeah, and you're in Kelowna now, and you have a 16-month-old.
Yeah, he turned 16 months today.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So he was born in Kelowna. And we made really, really, really good friends here who have like 3 boys. And like we were living downtown and it was just really cracked out. Like we didn't realize where we moved when we moved here because we weren't familiar with the area. We just kind of like took a chance. And when it was just Sam and I, and we were like drinking, going out and like doing whatever we were doing, it was totally fine. But it felt like overnight, I was like seeing life with brand new eyes since Luca was born. I was like, oh, this is not a good fit for us. Like I was calling the non-emergency police line literally once a week Like it was wild. The day the public health nurse came to our house to make sure we were like fit parents, like 3 days after Luke was born, I was breastfeeding on the couch, and this guy runs out of his house across the street and runs down the road chasing this girl saying he's gonna fucking kill her with a shovel in his hand. And I
Oh,
had to tell the public health nurse, I was like, we are normal people. I was like, we just unfortunately ended up in this neighborhood. I'm sure she was like, social services, like, get involved.
yeah.
It was
Yeah.
horrible. Yeah. So we kind of were like in a rush to get out of there. And that alone, well, so it was like that paired with the ocean made us really just want a change. And so we were in a really big rush to get out of there before summer came because there also was no aircon in that house, and summer in Kelowna just gets so, so hot. So we're
Mhm.
like, we miss the ocean, we need to change. Like, let's just try Vancouver Island. But honestly, we were there for a year, and between us, we made one friend, like one actual decent friend.
I didn't think it was a whole year that you were there.
Yeah, so we left in June and we ended up leaving, well, in May. So it was like 11 months because Sam got let go from his job because the company's just not doing as well as they thought. So we told our landlord, like, this is kind of our chance to go. Because we kind of had come to terms with the fact that Nanaimo wasn't a good move. Like, we were like, okay, this is probably, yeah, not what we should have done. Just because we didn't think it'd be that hard to make friends. But I think as new parents as well, it's just so isolating. Like, the people you would normally seek out and hang out with, like, they're just a completely different
Yeah.
circle, which is like bizarre to say. But yeah, so we just were feeling lonely with like no family. And so we weren't like, we were not ready to come back to Newfoundland. We're not ready to go to England, and we love BC. So we're like, how can we stay in BC and get as close to family as we can? And like our friends that we made here are just,
Mhm.
yeah, as close as we're gonna get. And like Luca loves their boys so much. Like anytime we got time or money to travel, we were always coming back here anyways. And like whenever we left them, Luca was like a different kid. Like he was saying new things, he was doing new things, and we're like, it's so wrong to have him not have that like social
Yeah.
circle. Like it's so cliche to say, but like it takes a village. It really does. It's bizarre for three of us to spend all of our time together.
Yeah, no, that's what Sarah was saying too. Like, I think everyone will agree that it takes a village for sure.
Yeah,
You definitely like need a good, that's kind of like how she left off was like, you need like a good support system around you.
you do.
It makes
Really.
sense to
Mm.
move back there.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's 16 months old. I guess it was 2 years ago you found out that you're pregnant. I'm trying to do
Yeah.
the math.
Yeah.
math.
Around it would have been around this time. So I felt pregnant the first time in was it March? Yeah. And then I miscarried early April. And then we conceived again. Like I didn't even have a period, and I conceived on Luca like right away.
Right.
So it was like pregnant March, miscarried April, and then pregnant for like the beginning of May-ish kind of time. Which was the best. Like if anybody's thinking about having a baby, like January kind of time is the best time to do it because you're pregnant in the summer, but not like heavily pregnant. So you're not like sweating your ass off, and you have like a cute little bump that's like fine. And then fall time, your loose clothes fit you anyways. And then you have a baby in January, which is the most depressing time of the year. So you don't feel guilty staying inside and having cuddles. And then babies can't wear sunscreen until they're 6 months old anyways. By the time July comes around, they're ready.
Oh, that's actually perfect.
It's the best. And like if you're a teacher, also works out amazingly. You go on your mat leave Christmas time, come back after Christmas.
Right.
The
Yep.
best. I didn't even plan it like that, but I'm like,
Yeah.
that's the way to do it.
That was the universe being like, here, you're
Yeah.
welcome.
Yeah. Pretty much.
So
Yeah.
overall, I don't know if you want to just talk about your birth or the pregnancy or maybe all of it, just like how the whole experience of pregnancy and birth was for you.
I loved being pregnant. Like as it got closer and closer to my due date, I was like sad. Like not sad, like I was obviously really looking forward to like meeting him, but I loved being pregnant. I don't know. I think I just my first of all, my hair was like down to my butt. Like my hair was so long for the first time ever in my life.
Yeah.
And it was cool to like feel him moving inside of me and like just to know that your body's doing the craziest thing in the world.
Yeah. It's
Like
so funny because as kids, you were like to feel a baby moving around like
I know.
and Sarah was so afraid of birth too, and both of you were like, loved it.
It's crazy. Like you literally, the second I found out I was pregnant, I just immediately wasn't afraid of giving birth anymore. I was just like, this is what has to happen, and my body will do what my body needs to do. And there was not an ounce of fear. And then like all through my pregnancy, and as I got closer to the end, people would be like, "Are you scared?" I'm like, no. But then I'd be scared that I wasn't scared. I'm like, should I be nervous? Like, why am I not scared? And that would like make me anxious. So that was like a whole different thing. But yeah, it was just a really easy pregnancy. Aside from like I had some muscle separation in my stomach. I don't even know if you remember the day of Danielle's wedding, I was complaining of like a little bit of pain
Yeah.
by my belly button. So that was the first time I kind of felt any kind of discomfort in my pregnancy. And then that kind of went away. And then it came back with a vengeance at like the
Yeah.
end of September, early October. And it got to the point, it was just like a really sharp pain next to my belly button. And the only time it didn't hurt was when I like pushed in on it,
Mhm.
which it ended up being like a little hernia, which makes sense because I was literally just pushing whatever was sticking out back in. So that sucked. But it got to a point where the only time during the day I wasn't in pain was like between when my alarm went off in the morning and when I got up. Like I would keep a bathroom, like like a bar stool in the bathroom to get ready for work in the mornings because immediately my stomach would start hurting. Like I had to sit down in the shower and use a shower head like on my head because I couldn't stand up. It was brutal. So, but then all the research I did into it, like no one had ever, like there were no like little Reddit groups, there were no like support forums, there was nothing. So I was like, what is going on with me? And then so my midwife sent me to a pelvic floor specialist and she like took out her ultrasound and was able to look at my muscles and was like, yep, they're spread incredibly thin, like right where I was having that pain. She's like, it's a little hernia. So I ended up having to come off work, which was a whole pain in the butt because the doctor at the midwife clinic was like not willing to write me a note
Yes,
because
I
she was like,
remember.
she's like, can you sit down at work? I was like, have you ever been in a classroom? Like, do you know why are you kidding me? No. Yeah. But yeah, I had to come off early, which was, I felt really guilty about it, but like I very quickly learned how replaceable I was. And everybody I spoke to was like, nope, like do this for you, do this for your body, do this for your baby. Like they will replace you in an instant. And though it took them a couple weeks to find somebody, they did replace me pretty quickly. Like it's not the end of the world. And you're only pregnant once, like enjoy it.
Yeah, true.
So yeah.
How was the birth experience?
It was rough. Like I did not like I did all of the things to prepare myself for birth. Like I had my yoga ball and Shauna is like a birth like guru. So I FaceTime with her and she was like, this is what you should do. You should have like I was eating dates and I was putting like I was using evening primrose. Like I was doing all of the things to get this baby out. Um and I didn't have like a birth plan as such. I had like a loose picture of what I wanted it to be like, but I also know like it's not going to go according to plan. If it does, that's amazing, but like the likelihood of that is very, very slim. And so I kind of thought of all the outcomes, but I never really envisioned myself having an emergency C-section. Like it's just not something that ever came to mind. Like I just kind of always thought I would have an easy birth. I think because my pregnancy was so easy. I was like,
Right.
oh, like my body was made to do this. It wasn't. I mean, it was, but so my water broke, which was cool because like I think like 85% of women's water don't even break. So
Yeah.
that was cool to like feel that. And then right away the contractions got like pretty bad. So we went to the hospital. Um, and they gave me like a shot of Gravol and morphine and then kind of sent me home. So we went home for a few hours. And then the contractions got really, really bad. So we just went back to the hospital and then it's honestly, it's like a blur. Like you have such an adrenaline rush. And I think I labored for something like 48 hours on very little sleep. So I was like, it felt like an out of body experience. And like Sam tells me things that happened. And I'm like, I don't even remember it happening. But so I was like having contractions pretty steadily. I didn't have an epidural because I just was like, this is what my body's gonna do. Like this is what I was made to do, like put on this earth to do. So it has to be fine. But they gave me like laughing gas, which I didn't realize was an option, which
Right.
helped a lot. Like it helped a lot. It just kind of made me space out a little bit. I just kind of forget what was going on just for like a little second. But yeah, so I labored for, I think at this point was having contractions steadily for something like maybe 12 hours or something like that. And I got to 9 centimeters dilated and my body was like I think it's called transition, I think, is when your body wants to start pushing. So you puke, you get the shakes, and you feel like you want to push.
Mhm.
And I was like, okay, this is happening. Like I threw up, I had the shakes, and I was like, this baby's coming out. And the midwives were like, well, you're only 9 centimeters dilated, so we need you not to push for 2 hours. And like you can't understand the feeling of needing to push until you're there, but like trying to stop your body from doing the one thing it's desperately trying to do. Like I couldn't not push.
It's probably like
But
trying to not throw up when like you can't
it,
control
it
the
is
body.
times a million. So imagine if you're like about to puke and the people at the hospital are like, well, We need you to not do that. Like, it's gonna happen. So they gave me the epidural in the end. They were like, it's not that we think you can handle it. They're like, we need you just to not feel this urge to push because you can do a lot of damage. And if you're not ready and baby's not ready, like, it's just not gonna be good. So I was like, not like upset about that. I kind of was like, whatever, just do what you need to do at this point. Um, so they gave me the epidural, and then Sam and I were able to have like little naps on and off, just because I couldn't feel anything. So I just kind of slept for a couple hours. And then they came in like, oh, it's time to push. And I was like, perfect, let's do it. Because at this point, I couldn't feel anything. And I was like, oh, this is the best. I should have gotten an epidural a long time ago. Like, sign me up next time. Um, so anyways, they prop the back of the bed up, and I like get up on my elbows and start pushing. And I see this thing is like hanging off my back, and it looked like this. It was like a charger.
Yeah.
And I was like, what is this? And then I see everybody in the room just like look at each other, like all the medical staff. And they were like, and I'm like, what is that? They were like, oh, that is your epidural line. It must have snapped off in your back. They were like, it's never happened. They were like, it's never happened before. I was like, oh, lucky fucking me. What are we gonna do about this? So not only did they take my pain away, which was the best, it came back full force. Like when it's time to push is like the most
God.
painful time. So my pain was nothing, and then it came back times a million. So they were like, "Do you want us to get the anesthesiologist back in here? Like you're ready to push, but like I don't know how good it's going to be." I was like, "Get that man in here now. Do not tell me with a good time. Like if I had not had the epidural from the beginning, I would have been fine. But to just tease me like that, I was like, get him in here. Get
Yeah.
him in here now." So they got another one in me. But like I did push for, I think I pushed for 4 hours. But I think without the epidural, I might have pushed for like one. And then it's really hard to know like when to push because you can't feel it. So I could only go off of when they were like, oh, you're having a contraction, push. And like your belly would really, really tense up because that's your body trying to like expel the baby, obviously. So I would like, I had my hand on my belly, and when I felt it really, really tense up, like go really hard, I'm like, that's when I was contracting. So I would just push with that. But I couldn't feel, like, I couldn't feel what I was doing. So
Mm.
they would like put pressure, and they'd be like, oh, push here, but I couldn't really feel it. So, anyways, I pushed for 4 hours, and every time I pushed, they were like, one more push, one more push. We can see his head. We can see his head. Do you want to feel his head? I was like, no, no, no. Like, let's just make this happen now. And everybody was like, oh, it's amazing. He's right there. Sam's like, Dave, I can see his head. You're doing so good, blah, blah, blah. And then the OBGYN comes in, takes one look at me, and is like, this baby's not coming out. So that's not happening for you. And I was like, first of all, I've been in this room for like a day and a half now. And I'm like, you just came in here and just met me 1 second ago, and you're going to tell me to stop pushing. So, anyways, I begged her. I was like, please let me try again. Please let me try again. But at this point, like baby's heart rate was dropping. Like I was so, so tired. And she's like, nope, like we can't do it. And they were telling me at this point, I started bawling my eyes out just because like, not that I had to have the C-section, but that I was so physically and mentally, I have goosebumps even talking about it. Like I was so tired, and they let me push for so long only to be like, meh.
Yeah.
Like if they had told me when I
That's so
got there, you
frustrating.
need a C-section, so frustrating. If they had told me when I got there, this isn't going to happen, you need a C-section, I'd been like, okay, whatever. But I just felt so discouraged that they let me push and say, one more push, one more push. He's so close. He's so close. I was just like so, I just felt so defeated. And I'm bawling my eyes out, and she's telling me the risks and the complications, how I can die, how baby can die. Sam is an anxious person in general. He's like shitting himself because I was like, I said to her, I was like, I don't want to hear this conversation. I don't care. You're telling me I need a C-section. Do it. Don't tell me the risk. I know you need to. I don't want to know. So Sam took the midwife in the hall and was like, let's talk about this outside so she can't hear what's going on. And he was like, what is the likelihood of me losing them both? Like, he was like, how bad is this going to be? And she's like, pretty low, but not zero. Anyway, so I'm just like crying. I'm just upset. And there's one nurse, and I will never forget her. Her name was Jenny. She was in my ear. And she was like, you're an amazing woman. She's like, you're not any less of a woman because you need a C-section. And she was just like my hype woman. And I was like, then I was crying because I was like, I love you. I was like, so good. And then so they take me to do the C-section finally, and I'm just like, whatever. And then they gave me some kind of a like numbing situation, obviously, so I couldn't feel anything. But as they start cutting, I could feel like the knife in my skin. I was like, no, 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 no. Like I can feel that. And they're like, are you sure? Are you sure you can't just feel pressure? And I was like, have you ever got a cut? I know what it feels like when I've cut myself, when I have an exposed wound. I'm like, yeah, I can feel it. So they're like, okay,
You're
well,
the funniest person, but like obviously none of this is funny, but like just your
what
reaction.
can you do but laugh at it? What can you do? Yeah, I was pissed. And at this point, I was already fired up anyways, so I probably wasn't very nice to them. I just remember also when the OBG, like when the OB came in and was like just telling me the risks that I had to have a C-section, I was just staring at her. Like if looks could kill, she would have dropped it on the floor. But anyways, so I could feel the knife, and then they were like, "Kate, we'll give you another one just to make sure you're like really out." And then that was fine. And then they did the thing they had to do, and blah 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 blah. And then yeah, then Luke was born. And then that was
Easy
that.
peasy.
Nothing to it. But for days after trying to sleep, I was having like flashbacks. Like I really had a little case of PTSD in the beginning, like a
Yeah.
very short one. But yeah, it was traumatizing. Like all of it was really, really, really horrible. Would I do it again? Yes.
Birth trauma sounds to be real.
It is, man. I'm like, no, it is, it is, it is. Sorry, it is. But it's worth it, and I will do it again. And I mean, some people are different. Some people have, really, really, really traumatic birth stories and can't really
Yeah.
move on after that. And like that's understandable. It is a really difficult thing to go through. So I don't blame them, honestly.
Yeah. Fair.
But
So after that, I guess how has the past year been? A little over a year. And I mean, in particular for you being away from family and friends.
um it's like it's had its highs and lows. Overall, being a mom is just the best. Like Luke is so easy. I mean, you've met him, he's just like happy as a clam. He's been a good sleeper since the start, which makes a huge difference. But like the sleep deprivation in the beginning, even though he was a good sleeper, like sometimes he wouldn't. There was I can count on maybe on my hand maybe like 5 times he didn't sleep until like 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. But then he would sleep till 10 or 11 o'clock. Like there were definitely a couple late nights. So there were definitely some times that were hard when we were really sleep deprived. And like the first thing that comes to mind, like when you're tired, I'm sure you know because you have worked a million jobs at the same time and done all of this stuff. Like when you were tired, you're like you just do the weirdest things when you like can't think straight and you just. So I remember one night I was lying in bed on my back and I woke up to Sam like hovering over me like this. He was on top of me like this, and he had his hand under my neck and his other hand under like the small of my back and like was trying to lift me. And I was like, what are you doing? I was like, what's going on? And then he like in a panic was like, where's Luca? Like, what's going on? I was like, he's in his bassinet, like he's fine. But I think he woke up so tired in the middle of the night that he tried to make sure my head was like my neck was really supported, like thought I was Luca, like picking me up. And I was like, okay. But yeah, the sleep deprivation is real. But yeah, it's been really cool. It's been cool to see him like now he's talking and walking and like pretty much anything you say to him, he will repeat back to you. Which
Oh,
it's not always right,
yeah.
obviously, but anything you say, he would like try and repeat it. So like his newest, it's not newest, but one of the cutest things he says is like dinosaur. He'll say Dido, Dido,
Oh,
which is so cute. And he's into a really big like kissing phase right now, like only with Sam and I. It'd be weird if it was like other people out and about, but we were at the mall today and I gave him, we were in, Showcase.
yeah.
It's like that kind of a store, but they had those like reborn or baby dolls or whatever they were, and I just gave it to him. Like I was like, "Oh, look, a baby," because he goes, "Baby, baby," all the time. And I was like, "Oh my goodness, look, a baby!" And I put it in his arms, and right away he picked up the baby. He went, "Baby," and kissed it on the head, and then he went, "Hug," and he hugged it, and then he went, "Kiss." He kissed it on the hand, and he was just like holding this baby, and I was like, "This is so cool!" Like it's just amazing to watch him be a little person.
That is so cool. And I think that's a good point too of like, because one thing I learned about gender roles of children is that people always give like girls dolls and think that like they don't think to give little boys dolls like that. But like if I don't know how to explain it. Like,
I think from an early age, if you start exposing them to stuff like that and normalizing it, like already the gender roles, I feel like they're definitely shifting now, but like growing up, like our dads would have never played with dolls. And
no.
like obviously we had two great like fatherly figures as like dads themselves.
Yeah.
But like dads now are so much more involved than when they were then. I feel like just even little tiny exposures like that are starting to make a difference. I
Yeah.
don't know. It's really it's crazy. Like we went to go buy him some toys earlier, and Sam was like, we need to get him, we need to get him a baby doll. And I was like, I just love that. I was like, because so many dads would be like, no way, he's not playing with a baby.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
like, Sam was like, we need to get this kid a baby stat.
Yeah.
And then so we took him to the toy store and he picked out a baby and he was like holding it in a stroller the whole time we were in the store, which was so cute. And we got him like trucks and like whatever else we got for him as well, like dinosaurs and stuff. But he ended up throwing the baby on the floor, which I guess he just was sick of it in the end. I was like, oh, I guess you don't want your baby anymore. I was like,
Yeah. But the little girls do that too. That's like a complete,
yeah.
that's just like
So
a
he
toddler.
probably just got tired of the toy in general. But yeah, he showed a really big interest and we were like, yeah, why not encourage it? Like if he wants to, yeah, I don't know.
That kind of leads me into my next question because I was going to say, like, your thoughts on raising a boy in the world today, especially. I don't know if you're like teaching, like, if your career has kind of made you think, like, oh, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, or like, I'm not going to do certain things.
Like, what do you mean certain things like what?
I guess gender roles being a thing, or like a boys will be boys kind of thing that,
Fuck
like,
that. That is the worst mentality to have, and that is why we've gotten to where we are. Like, fuck that. I remember I had a university professor one time who was like talking about how he was the one who got high like leggings banned in Newfoundland. He's like, boys will be boys. And I spoke up and I was like, no, they will not be boys. I'm like, you are an educator. I was like, it was your role to teach these young men how to behave. I was like, and you as an educator and as a fatherly figure to a lot of these boys, I'm like, you taught them that boys will be boys. Oh, okay. I was flipping out at him and he pulled me aside after class and was like, are we okay? I was like, no, we're not okay. I think what you said was horrible and I don't support it. We were not friends after that. But I think at like its most basic is kind of in its most basic kind of ways, like I include Luca in chores. Like I'm like, this is a two-person job, or I mean, when you're a family, it's more than that. But like if I'm vacuuming, like I'll take the like the head off of the vacuum and he'll be like vacuuming the floor while I'm using like the hose. And if I'm doing laundry, like he's taking it out of the dryer and he's putting it in the laundry basket. And I think just even stuff like that is like just a big
yeah,
change, I feel like, from what we would have seen back in the day.
yeah.
And then also things like, sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna say that, like, I think that's exactly what I meant. Like the TikToks where it's like teaching my son to do XYZ so that when your daughter
Mhm.
says this or that, he knows what they're talking about, or like he knows what they mean. So yeah, that's just what that reminded me of.
But I think also on that note is like as people in general, like we are now more like aware of who we're choosing as a partner, and it's not just like someone you just end up with because you end up with them. Like if you don't act a certain way, like you're not sticking around. I don't know how to explain what I'm trying to say.
No, I think I know what you mean. Like,
As women, like we have learned, like you don't need to take shit. Do you know what I mean? And then like women and girls that are growing up now have a different set of criteria for what they want in a partner. They want someone who's going to share the house load. They want someone who's going to take on the mental load. They want someone who's going to write the thank you cards and the Christmas cards. It's like it's not just their role. It's like little tiny, tiny things like that.
yeah,
It's like if you show a young boy from a very early age that that's just the way it is, like everything is shared, and like they will grow up thinking that, and it'll be like normalized.
yeah. No, that's so true. Yeah, it's like you're like leading by example kind of thing of like,
Yeah,
hey, this is how our relationship is, and this is how like you are expected to be
yeah.
treating someone else. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. And like even Sam would be like, "Oh, look, like make sure you say thank you to mommy for making such a lovely meal. Aren't you so lucky to have a mommy who cleans up after you? Like, look at mommy, she put your toys together for you. Look at mommy, she's doing this, doing that." Like, and even just things like it's so cheesy and corny, but like, look at how beautiful mommy looks today. Doesn't mommy look so nice today? Look at mommy's hair. And I'm like, yes,
Yeah.
say it in front of him because then he will start to say it. And
Right.
like friends of ours who have the boys, one of their sons said to the dad one day, Daddy, you're so handsome. And I was like, it's so sweet. And you would not have heard that, I don't think, like in
No.
our time, anyways.
No.
Yeah, it's like really, really cool to see that shift happening.
Thanks for listening, everyone, and thanks to Hailey for sharing her experience. It continues next Friday with part 2. And I just want to give another shout out for talking about, birth trauma. And I feel like a lot of people are scared to share these things or maybe even scared to hear them, and it's all valid. But I think it is helpful for people to hear. I just keep thinking about not even for other pregnant people to hear, but for the friends and family and partners of those who will be giving birth. And I think it goes to show how much like education new moms need. I'm not saying that she needs education or needed more education, but I feel like everything we know is because we can kind of look it up online. I don't think it's really mandatory for women to find out a lot about their pregnancy and their birth, and you can kind of just coast through it all without knowing too much, which isn't really a great thing. I think we all need to know what we are getting ourselves into when having children in all aspects of it. So it's helpful to hear stories like this, especially like hearing her go through it all with humor too. Like the story about Sam is so funny. And in my first episode, Sarah was saying that there have been moments where her and her partner, Landon, have just like found themselves laughing. And I think that's a good point to make too, is to like find a partner who can laugh with you in these very overwhelming times. And again, like we were talking about straight relationships, but I think it rings true to all relationships that everyone, I think it's becoming increasingly more common to want an equal partnership where not one person is taking on the main parent role or the housework role and the other is working. Like I think it's much more common now to really share that, or at least be more aware of it if there is one working parent and one parent who stays home. Like I think everyone's outlook is a lot better, and we talk about that more in part 2. So yeah, thanks for listening and see you next Friday. You can find me on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and hopefully soon YouTube at Newfound Happy Hour.